Welcome to cooking cheap, easy, and tasty meals. Not long ago, I had the good fortune to have an ANZAC biscuit. As an American, it looks to me a lot like a cookie. It's a wonderfully flavored biscuit, and it was made in honor of the Australian and New Zealand military and their service in World War I, but seems to have been adopted as something to honor their military in general. I'm not aware of any other food, at least in the United States, that seems to be in honor of the military. So this is an interesting idea, but I've had some of these and they're excellent. So I'm going to make them today. Now we're going to start out with 1 cup of rolled oats. To that, we're going to add 1 cup of all-purpose flour. We're going to add 1 cup of firmly packed brown sugar. It's funny, you never want to do this with flour, but with brown sugar you definitely do. Okay, so there's 1 firmly packed cup of brown sugar. Now to this, we're going to add 3/4 cups of dried coconut. And since I've already gotten a 1 cup measure dirty, I'm going to just estimate what 3/4 cups is, because it should be close enough. There's about 3/4 cup of dried coconut. Now what's interesting about this biscuit is that it really doesn't have much liquid in it. It's a very dry batter, almost to the point that it seems like it's going to fall apart and not come together, but eventually it does. So I'm going to get that started by mixing this up real well so that the ingredients are ready to when we add the liquid. Now again, the technique for adding the liquid's a little unusual too. If you look at the dry ingredients, if you think about it, we've got flour, oatmeal, and coconut, which are, of course, typically very dry and hard to hydrate. That's what the usual effort whenever you're baking is to try and hydrate those. So I'm going to get this mixed up real well, and then we're going to go to the next phase. Now the next thing we're going to do is melt 4 tablespoons of butter. Now this happens to be unsalted butter, but it doesn't need much salt. The next thing we're adding is 4 tablespoons of golden syrup. We'll use all that's in this bottle, but that should be plenty. Okay, so that should be the last of that I need to add. And we'll turn the heat off and let this finish melting and mixing. I'm also going to add 1/2 teaspoon of soda. And I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of boiling water. I think I'll go with 3 to start with, just to not overdo it. This is what we're going to add to our dry mixture. Now we're going to add a prepared wet mixture to our dry ingredients. We're going to mix this up until it all comes together. 2 things that I find unusual in this, may be something you're familiar with, but the idea of cooking the wet ingredients and mixing them together is unusual for me. Usually you take the butter and sugar and mix them together. I'm familiar with that, but in this case we put the butter and the syrup together and the sugar is in the mixture with the other dry ingredients. I think most chefs consider sugar to be a wet ingredient. At least that's the way American cooking seems to be. I don't know about anybody else's. Just what I've been taught during my life. Now it's coming together pretty well. Still looks pretty dry. I just want to keep turning it and try and get the bottom mixture into the wet the drier part back up into the wet, but it's coming together pretty well, it looks like. Still got some wet, some dry ingredients down there, don't we? Okay. I'm going to let it sit for a minute while I get everything ready to bake the cookies. Okay, I'm going to pull some cookies out. I'm going to pull some biscuits out and lay them on the tray to cook. Well, that one fell apart. I think what I'm going to do is hand press them. Seems to work better. Take them out with the scoop and then I'll squeeze them into tighter little balls. They are coming out and they don't seem to be too dry. I'm gonna do it this way. Just pull them out, squeeze them a little bit. See how many I can get in one batch without overcrowding. That. I'm going to press them down a little bit, make them a little bit flat, help them so that they'll come out flatter. And when the oven is ready, I'm going to bake them for about 12 minutes until they're golden. Now we have our first batch of cookies. We're going to put them out here to cool. I don't know, I think they're probably going to have to sit a minute before I can, yeah, they probably need to sit a minute before I pull them off the tray. I've given these a few more minutes to cool, and I'm going to see how they, oh yeah, they get really hard as they cool. Yes, the last batch I made, I couldn't decide whether they were hard or chewy because everyone was a little different. I'm sure I didn't do an excellent job of making them. A little sticky too, but they were delicious. So I'm going to continue making these, and you really may want to try them. They are not cookies, they are biscuits, ANZAC Biscuits. And you might want to look up the story about the ANZAC Biscuit, ANZAC Biscuit. I think you'll find it interesting. I wish I had made these a few weeks ago so I'd had them in time to run this on ANZAC Day, and I apologize for not doing that. So I hope you have a great day. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and give us a like. Thank you.